Hi, I'm Courtney.
And I'm Brienne.
And you're listening to
Just Haunted House Things.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another episode of
Just Haunted House Things. It's good to be back.
It's great to be back. So we have a really interesting episode today. We are back with our friend. We can say
goddess.
Our goddess. Our muse.
Oh, God, just our inspiration for life.
Yeah, Shar Mayer.
Oh,
we love her.
Welcome back, Shar.
And we also have joining us Reyna.
Yeah, Reyna, it's pretty exciting.
Yeah.
We just read through her bio again, and oh my God.
It's impressive.
I'm geeking out.
And you know what? We'll let Reyna speak for herself.
Yeah, I'm just like, because, yeah, we could just get into everything for her, but then we'll just be hardcore fangirls, and let's try not to be that this time around.
Yes. Let's try. Keyword, try.
Try.
Okay. Without further ado, let's go.
Let's go.
Today we have Shar
And Reyna.
Hey!
Welcome. Hi.
Hey, thanks for having me back.
Anytime.
Any freaking time. We bonded so hard last time. I'm just
I
so
had such a
excited.
great time with you guys.
I know. And now Reyna, like, I'm going to tell you right now, I'm probably going to be a bit of a, like, fangirl as well. Because
just a touch.
I'm, like, huge into horror. Like, I'm a big wrestling fan. So I'm just, yeah. Oh, you rock. Thanks for being here.
Thanks for having me, and thanks for being awesome yourself.
Anytime.
So with that, Reyna, can you tell us a bit about yourself for our listeners who may not know who you are and your background?
Yeah, so in the horror world, I am Chainsaw Queen. I've done a variety of different corporate haunts. I did my own in high school and just fell in love with chainsaws because my dad let me watch Texas Chainsaw Massacre when I was only a wee 8-year-old. And so now I just kind of love being a scary horror villain in a variety of different independent films. Malvolia, Queen of Screams, I'm a creature in her world, and I'm also a Chainsaw for Women of Wrestling that is airing on Pluto TV and the CW Seed channel. So big scary monster in all sorts of realms and places. Yeah.
That's so awesome. And we were just reading your bio before we came on, and it is so impressive.
Yeah, like creating your haunt when you were 14? Just wow. Like when I was 14, I was like, hey, I'm going to go to the mall by myself. Like, cool.
Yeah, our band, TJ Hepburn actually wanted to zip up the hayride because, like, I come from a little small town, El Centro, California, and the hayride was literally sit in the hay and we're going to wheel you around the block in the dark, and it was nothing. And he comes from West Virginia, and I know they do like a lot of hayrides out in the East Coast. So he wanted to make it fancy. So he challenged us. He split the band into 4 teams.
Yeah.
And we each like a softball backstop, and we got to decorate it. And I led my team to be the junkyard ghouls. And we had a little graveyard scene. We spray painted our friend's truck. He let us spray paint his whole truck.
Nice.
It was really fun. So yeah, the seed was planted very early. And then now I'm one of the 4 founders of Black Mass. So I get to do all sorts of immersive, scary stuff whenever I want.
Heck yes.
That is so cool. That's just like, wow. Like just to have like an opportunity when you're that young to be like, okay, so we're just going to give you this stuff, see what you can create and have fun.
And off you go.
Yeah.
And the bug was in you from that moment.
Yep.
Hell yeah.
Cool. And then how did you and Shar like come about meeting?
Shar is one of the greats of 17th Door. So I already knew about Shar.
Yeah.
And then she got invited to come through. It was a Clausen inauguration, one of I think it was the 4th series, if not the 3rd, I think it was the 4th series, 3rd in the M series, which is a whole series of different mini shows by our co-creator, Alex C. James. And she was one of our guests that got to go through that one. And she basically helped one of our agents kill all sorts of sorority girls.
What a dream.
Awesome.
What a dream.
They had it coming.
Yeah.
I had to tell you, I also do immersive theater and besides haunt. So, and I go to a bunch of them too. And I never felt the way I did going to this one. Just before it even started, they made me park like on this deserted street by a railroad track. And they said, lock your phone in your car, which is scary to me.
Yeah.
And then I just had to stand there and wait for someone to pick me up. And it's like every car that went by, which wasn't that often because it was like kind of deserted, I would look at them and they would look at me. And people that had no idea what I was doing, and because you're looking at them, they'd look at you. So by the time they picked me up, my heart was already pounding because it was such a freaky idea to do that and make me wait and all that anticipation. The show was great, but I'm saying the build up to it, I was already like, it's a lot of, how haunted horror is. It's in your head. And they really got in my head, like, so good before we even started. And fantastic cast, great plot. Everything was realistic. It felt like, you're in somebody's home and this is happening to you. So, yeah. And it was really cool to see Miss Chainsaw also go at it. So it was cool.
Yeah.
So I wanted to say to you guys, happy Women of Horror Month.
Happy Women of Horror
Month. We get a whole month to celebrate us lovely women of horror.
Heck
I'm
yes.
so proud to be part of a whole month-long celebration.
Are either of you doing anything to celebrate Women of Horror Month?
I would say,
yeah,
with you.
Oh, thank you.
I was gonna say, I think getting ready for a new show and tormenting people and beating people up, that's always a privilege to celebrate women in horror.
That's just a regular Tuesday. Yeah.
I'm also waiting for some more information on a show that I'll be working with Black Mass, a different show than Rain is talking about. So I'm waiting for the information of that. And that's called Blindness.
Okay.
Blindness. Is there anything you can tell us about that?
I don't think so.
Okay, fair.
Okay,
fair.
that's all right.
It was worth a
I
shot.
can say it's an in-person show.
Okay.
But it has a component online. And more than that, I don't think. Reyna, could you help me? I know Alex is the writer, director, producer. He's doing new stuff, really, really ambitious too.
Okay,
very
cool.
excited about it.
Yeah.
I think I'm gonna be bringing somebody I've had before back. I'm waiting to talk to him some more about it. But I'm really excited. His ideas are really like off the hook. So off the chain or off the hook. I don't know.
I think both work. I think we're in an area now where both those terms can work.
Yeah.
And I've been talking to other women about women in horror, and it's pretty exciting. We look back to our roots, how horror really, really was a boys' club. And little by little, we squished our way in, and some of the greatest monsters and future monsters are women. Girls, gals, women, whatever.
I think women are like definitely, and I don't know if I'd say slowly, but we're definitely taking over.
Yeah.
Like the genre and the major aspects of just like not just like horror haunted houses, but like movies, experiences. Like I know like a lot more women in the past 5 years who have come up with like social media, YouTube, like in-person houses, designs, everything like that. And like I'm living for it because I feel like there's a psychology with women that makes things more terrifying. Whereas a lot of the time with men, I think it's just kind of like the face. It's just like you just get what's right in front of you instead of like the deeper layers.
Like a surface level terror versus like an internal mind body kind of terror.
Not all men, but I'm just saying, from our experiences in the past with the horror we've all experienced in life. Oh, that could go into deeper levels.
Yeah, we could probably dissect that a little bit.
Yeah, I bet. We're clawing our way in. I know when I first started, it was all guys that did it, and there would be like me and like somebody's girlfriend would also be haunting, and it would be all guys.
Yeah.
But it's not like that anymore. I'd say it's 50-50, if not more, when you go to haunts. If you're lucky enough to work at a haunt that is a female-centric character, like the 17th Door where I was working, you have a main character that's female, that's great.
Yeah.
You know, having a show with a female character as your lead, you know, that's wonderful. So you're starting off there where you're going to have lots and lots of girls and women get involved with it.
Yeah.
And I can tell you, Black Mass was founded by 4 people, and 2 of them were female.
Yeah.
Or are female.
Yeah.
So, go ahead.
No, you.
I was gonna ask. So, Reyna, how did you come up with Black Mask? How did that start? Like, what was the inspiration behind all of that?
So the 4 of us actually also worked for an extreme immersive haunt that was called Heretic Haunted House.
Okay.
And we did all sorts of things with them for several years. That's how we all met. And then they stopped doing shows. The creator kind of just was getting, started doing other things. He also does effects and started doing more effects for big effect companies. And we were just like, but we still want to do this. Like, anybody want to let us do, like, why don't we just do this ourselves? Why are we waiting for somebody to hire us or to tell us what to do? So we just sat around and figured out, what do we want to do? What do we want to do differently? What do we want to take from that we've learned from? And then at first, for like a whole year, we were actually underground. We didn't want anybody to know who we were, because we didn't want people to compare us outright, like, oh, it's just them again. We didn't tell anybody. An extra creepy component when people were invited just by this email, blackmass@gmail.com. That's the only information these people were getting. And they would sign up and meet us. Like, Shar at least knew us, and she was scared. Yeah. There were people that had no idea who we could have been for real, killing people and setting them up, and they would just be along for the ride.
That definitely sounds like the opening of a horror movie, which I think I've seen before.
I legitimately got full body chills when you said that. Like, if I got an email like that, I'd be curious. But there would be an aspect of, like, I might die tonight.
Oh, no, 100%. I'd look at that and be like, don't even open the link. That's going to, like, nope, that is bad omen right there. Where's my sage? I need to burn my computer. Let's go. Like, how did they know to contact me?
Who is this person?
Yeah, and, like, so when you contacted people, was it just, like, people you knew? Or, like, how did you keep that so underground the first little while?
It was a combination of people we knew were down to do this type of thing, and a combination of people that were reviewers that were for places that we knew would, of course somebody would know my name. So we kind of just threw some names, see who saw who bit, and we got enough people who bit and came, and like literally the reviews were like, so I got this email from somebody. Died. Didn't die. Here's my review. So we did that for a year, and then we were like, it's us. And there was like a couple people that kind of had an inkling that it was us, here and there. But so it was nice to kind of surprise most of the people by that time.
Heck yeah.
That is so
that's
cool.
one of the things that you just said. I don't think too many people these days go to a haunt and think they're going to die. But immersive theater,
yeah,
because it feels so raw.
Yeah,
I think that's the thing I get from it. It's more raw and less polished, and I like that. Mm-hmm. You do get the feeling sometimes like, oh, this might be my last show. This might be it.
Now, would you say that as like a guest and as an actor in these immersive haunts? Like, this might be my last show because things are getting a little crazy, or?
Oh, no, I mean, as a guest, as an actor, of course, or performer, if you know what you're doing and you're doing it right, you have control.
Right.
And you're controlling the scene. But when you're a guest and you're going through, you don't know who the actors are a lot of times. Like, Reyna has a real interesting cast of people that not everybody knows, like people may know me. And if they come to something I'm doing, they're like, oh yeah, her. So they may know me, but a lot of the people that she has, people don't know them. So they come in and now you're like off, you're already like, what's happening? It's more personal. It's more, it's one-on-one, and you feel, whether it's Black Mass or any other immersive show, you should feel like totally off tilt, like off center, like you never know what's going to happen. And like I said, it feels more real. Like when you're walking through a haunted house, it's scary, it's fun, things happen.
Yeah.
But it's kind of 100% different, and it's not linear. Like a haunted house is very linear. You
Yeah.
enter here and you exit here. Most haunted houses.
It's kind of
then you
like
go around.
with I find with the immersive theater, it's like there's like a breaking of that fourth wall, really. Like when you're going through a haunted house, like you said, like it's linear. It's like you enter one area, whether it's like an actual house or structure or not, but you know there's an exit. Whereas with
Right.
and you kind of know that, like, okay, I've got a barrier. There's like something invisible or not, like between me and the performers. Whereas immersive theater, it's like you become part of that show that you're in, and you become part of the story. So it's like breaking that fourth wall, that you become part. You like step into this experience, which is just,
you have to be confident enough to go to a show to feel like, okay, I'm going to release like all my inhibitions and my fears, and I'm going to let them take me to a journey. And if you're able to do that, you can have a great experience at an immersive show.
Oh yeah. Okay, so what is? Let's start with Shar. What's your favorite immersive experience you've been part of as a guest? Let's do as a guest.
As a guest, Black Mask. Yes, I absolutely was blown away. Like the first time I went, just like, because like when I'm going through anything and I go and I put it in my mind, oh, I'm going to a haunt or a show or whatever, and I have it in my mind, I can get scared and everything. So I'm fine with all that. But boy, this is one I didn't have to put that in my mind. It was already there.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was already planted.
Yeah. But I've been through a lot and performed it a lot that they're not scary to perform in.
No.
Although sometimes when you get a wacky guest, although it's better with immersive shows than with haunts.
Yeah.
Because you're doing smaller amounts of people are going through, so you have more control on it. Hopefully there's more control on letting them in. I know every immersive show I've gone to or performed in, I can't think of one time where I've had any problems with a guest. Whereas haunt, you get
countless. Yeah.
Reyna, have you had any times with Black Mass where you've had guests that were not in control of themselves that make problems for you and your kids?
Not physical problems. We've had one guest that kind of derailed us emotionally. She wasn't already in an emotional state, and she kept breaking the fourth wall with me as a character. I kept trying to pull myself like, no, I'm this character. And she would kept referring to me and talking to me as me, Reyna, instead of my character. And man, it was like trying to put that train, like it was so derailed. I'd like pick it up and like put you back on track. It was rough, but man, I did it. And my partner watched it happen. And he was just like, bro, like, I don't even know how you did that. Like I couldn't have done that. And thankfully, for us, she's no longer allowed to come through our shows anymore. So that's pretty much what we do with them. And not for that incident, for other things. But I think that we try to do a good enough job by giving them a heads up of what's going to happen in the show before we get here. But yeah, that was one of the things that we learned from working at the other haunt is like, here are the things we don't want. And that we take them very, very seriously. Like if somebody's like, nope, this person totally smells drunk, then we're going to stop the show and you're going to go away. But
that's great. I can tell you that I've had, well, it happens a lot, but if people like know me and try to be like saying hi to me, whatever, I usually get meaner to them and they like it and then ignore what they're saying, Shar or something like that, or I've seen you, or I know you, or whatever they were referring. I usually shut them right down. I didn't have what you had, but I usually just shut them right down. And then maybe at the end, I'll give them a little wink. And then they feel all like, oh, yay, but the scene happened and they were included in it. And we went on our journey together. But kudos to you, Reyna. That's like really hard when you have somebody that's like running you like that.
Yeah.
Especially because that show, it was intimacy. It was the emotional show.
Yeah.
So it wasn't even like I could go and be scary. It was like I was already being on a real emotional state with this person. And for them to derail me, I'm like, all right, I got you.
Yeah, because it's like when you're playing a character, you're like, you are that character. So to have like a guest come in and pull like the real you, it's just like I can only imagine the cross conflict going on within. Oh, kudos to you. That would like, I'd probably would have been a wreck and like had to like emotionally deal that out for the next week and a half.
Yeah.
Just like separate myself from the character again.
Yeah, that's really difficult.
Right. Like, don't make this harder on me, man.
Yeah.
It's fine.
Follow-up question. If someone was like getting into immersive theater and had that happen to them, do you have like tips on how they could avoid or help put the train back on the tracks in that regard?
In my go ahead.
No, you go ahead.
In my specific instance, man, I don't even think I could recreate what happened with me. But I think really just trying to, what's the phrase I'm looking for? Bring it back to the table, basically, like orders of the day. What was your script? Okay, this is what they said. Internalize it, take a beat, figure out either how to use it, script, or how to deflect it.
Yeah, okay.
Oh, that's interesting. Boop. Or like, all right, I'm going to use that somehow. How do I improv that back into my order? And then, reevaluate how to go from there.
Yeah.
I think that for a lot of people, she was so far gone that I, as a stage manager, I might have pulled it because she was so just elsewhere.
Yeah.
Unless I saw that the performer was like, okay, they're doing what their thing, but yeah.
You gotta have some good like improv skills to be able to manage that for it not to be pulled. Yeah,
for sure.
Yeah,
For sure.
well, that's the key, right, for immersive theater.
Mm-hmm.
I would say that you really have to know who your character is, and reach down into your character. Like if I'm, like I said, I'm mean, and I play a lot of mean characters. So like, if somebody's like, "Yay!" something, or I would take their hands and put them down and look at them strongly and get them in control. If I'm more of a victim kind of character, I would push their hands down and like be more into like that, who that character is. If you know who your character is in immersive theater, is really important. For haunt, it's great to know who you are and have a backstory, but immersive theater, you have to know a lot about who you are and who your character is. You can't just say, I'm a scary old woman. Well, I always do that. I play scary old woman. But you can't just say that. You have to have a full background and be, so you know where your character is, or I'm saying for me, where she would go or they would go. That's the most important tip I could say on controlling people that are stepping over the line. Know who you are, because if you're doing it one-on-one, or if you're doing it and there's more than one person, first of all, you don't want to ruin the show for the other people by acknowledging the mistake that the one person's doing. I call it a mistake. You like that? Mistake.
Yeah.
You want to take it and use it, which is again, part of the improv skills that you learn to do immersive theater.
Mm-hmm.
Being able to improv is your number one. Learning who you are and being able to improv.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Definitely.
Great tips.
Yeah, because sometimes the guest is going to do something that you don't expect them to do.
Yeah.
And then you got to figure out, oops, well, that wasn't in the script. They were supposed to just do it, and they didn't do it. You know what?
Yeah, you're always going to get those
thing.
People that want to like challenge to be like, maybe I can throw this person off. Maybe I'll be
right.
the one who does it.
And you get that at a haunt too. You get people that want to challenge you, like, I see you, or oh, you don't scare me. And then you're going to do a scene and they're going to like get into your scene and try to mess you up. Those people are idiots, but you don't want to ruin it for everyone else. You want to make them seem like the idiot, so everybody in the group kind of gets like on the other person.
Yeah.
So that's how I like to play those kind of people.
You and me both, Shar.
Like play them, turn the room on them. They're trying to one up you. And it's like when I first started, I would just be like, walk away from that. Or I tell people, if you have this problem, and there's people that are just starting, and you have this problem, and you have a problem guest, don't engage. Don't give them the satisfaction. Walk, and I say to him, because it usually is, walk away, disengage, don't get involved with it.
Yeah.
And then people start realizing, oh, this one guy's a jerk. And because of him, we're not getting to see a full show. And then they'll be like, so-and-so, shut up. And just, and then they'll control the rest of their group, even if they're not friends or they don't know them, they'll say something because they want to have a good show.
Yeah.
You know, everybody comes to have a fun time.
Yeah.
Mhm.
It's like stopping a heckler at a comedy show. It's just
Yeah.
like, let us enjoy this. Like, stop ruining it for everyone else.
Yeah.
Get over yourself.
Yeah. It's not about you, man.
Yeah. It's about us and the group experience.
I'm the one who's in control. Get out of here.
Keep the power. Walk away. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So Reyna, in your bio, I was looking at the fact that you grew up playing a lot of like mean characters in shows and stuff. I'm not gonna lie, I got that a lot too when I was younger. Like I was like this really shy girl, but I ended up playing like the Red Queen in like an Alice story and like the Wicked Witch in like a Wizard of Oz story, and I just couldn't understand how I was getting all these like mean roles, but they were so much fun to play. So I want to know, how was it for you? Like, did you always want to play these mean characters? Like, oh, awesome.
Yeah, I would go out for them for sure. Like, and it kind of made me a little sad. I remember as I got older, because when I first started doing the theater, I wanted the roles, but the older kids would get them, so I'd have to like wait till I was a little older.
Yeah.
And then when I was the older kid, I'd be like, oh, well, I'm not gonna go out for that role because Raina's going for it. I'm like, no, you go for it too. Like, don't just not do it because I'm doing it. But it was fun for me to do these wicked characters and to have the cackle as the Wicked Witch and just be mean was just fun.
Yeah, because it's like you seem like the type of person who's just not that in general in life. So it's kind of like a release to just like let it all out.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, that's
yeah,
so cool.
yeah, totally cathartic release.
Yeah.
And then you get to have the crazier makeup and get the crazier props. I feel like it's fun.
Get a let
And
loose.
and I never felt like I was going to ever be like the princess part anyway. Like I was super tall, I was a tomboy. Like I didn't want to be Snow White. I want to be, except for when we did Pocahontas, I was Mother Earth. That was the one motherly role that I got because there wasn't really an evil,
No, but she's the sassy part of that entire show. So like that's like the evil quote unquote sassy role. You got that.
It's like either big villain, mean security guard person or mother caring, loving person. Like one of the two.
There's no in between.
No love interest. Although some people see me as like my creepy chainsaw makeup and they're like, ooh, sexy. I'm like, bro, really? All right.
Do you want to unpack that, sir?
There are some deep-rooted issues here.
But you know, that's true. You didn't hear that like a long time ago. No one's thought that was sexy. Like, yeah, you can get Elvira kind of look of horror as sexy, but the blood and guts and gore stuff being sexy, I think is pretty new. And I see it too.
Yeah,
a lot
all
of
the
people,
time.
A lot of people find that sexy, attractive.
Yeah. Actually, funny, our friend Gigi, our director horror friend, she's fantastic. Her big crush for like horror movie guys is Leatherface. Yeah. And so like Texas Chainsaw Massacre, Big Chainsaw, and we actually had like a little movie night last night and we watched the newest one on Netflix. I'm not going to give any spoilers because some people I know haven't seen it.
Watch it last night. Nice.
Have you watched it?
We just watched it last night. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, so
Awesome.
no spoilers, but like she was all about him. She was like, yeah. She was like, that's my big Leatherface right there. And I was like, you're messed up, and I love you so very much because I understand that on a very deep level. Yeah, but like.
Love it.
He's freaking jacked, man, so I get it.
The amount of times I've had some of my actors and me get like phone numbers in like the last like 5 years has been astronomical. And like the amount of times like some of our weirdest characters get hit on. Like I remember the dentist character, the one with like
God, like the tubes coming from the face. And...
It kind of looks like Dr. Satan from
Dr. Satan! Sorry.
Yeah, so
every time I have to.
So this character, like the weirdest looking character that we have, and for whatever reason gets hit on the most. And I'm like, I don't understand, but okay.
Good hygiene, good dental hygiene is the turn on.
Yeah, okay.
I worked at Knott's for 15 years. 10 years I was on Ghost Town. I must have got at least 3 or 4 numbers every week. And I kind of played like a guy character.
Right.
But I got girls and I got guys numbers.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's so funny.
So it was interesting.
There's got to be like
they'd slip it into your. They'd come up to you and they'd slip you like a little message, and you'd be like, "Oh, a message. Okay, put it away. Look at it." Then you go on your break and you take it out. It's like, phone number.
Or it's like, do you like me? Check yes or no.
Meet me over here at midnight. It's like, yeah, I'm working.
I wonder if anyone's done like a sociology study of like sexuality and haunt characters, like
haunt monsters.
Oh, there has to be something. I would read those books so hard.
I would read that hard.
Oh, I want to know. I love the way a brain works, and like one of the reasons why I love horror so much and is trying to understand people as to why they do what they do and what drives them. It's like I love the sociology and behind it all. So that's what drives me into those types of concepts. So I would love to know what gets someone going when it comes to like, oh, that person's covered in blood. That's exactly what I wanted all my life.
Yeah, I want
like,
that.
Ooh, she's hacking off that foot over there. Ooh, baby, yeah.
Ooh, she's got a chainsaw and she's running right at me.
I think it's kind of like the whole, just people get that whole thing about being scared about that emotion. I mean, you lose your breath, you're breathing fast, your heartbeat, your adrenaline rushes, the same feeling you feel when you're infatuated with somebody or you're having a great time with somebody. So I think it's like the link up between those
that
two
is
things.
so true.
It's gotta be.
I had an acting teacher who used to tell me that like people always say it's either fight or flight. So you either are going to face a concept and you're either going to fight them or you're going to run from them. But he was like, nah, man, it's not about fight or flight. It's about fight or fuck. You either want to fight the person or you want to fuck that person. And I was like, I get that. Yes. Yeah, okay.
That tracks.
So if you try and scare someone now and they don't run from you, I guess we know what that means.
Guess they want to fuck.
Well, that's an excellent point. I mean, when you're working, say, a haunt, and you're doing like a character where you're doing a lot of movement, and you're chasing. I don't chase anymore, but when you're chasing, you're going after, and then they're just standing there. They just want you to have an interaction with them.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
they don't want to run away from it. They want that interaction. Now you have to quick switch gears and see how you're going to play with them and what you're going to do, because you don't want to let them have exactly what they want. You're going to give them what you want them to have and take them on their little trip with you.
Yeah.
So that can also be fun.
Yeah.
I love figuring out what people's little tricks are. Like my favorite was this guy that came in, I think it was Great Horror Camp Out, and he was a big, burly, bigger than me, big burly dude. And nothing normal was getting him. And I don't know if it was me or somebody else just randomly let out this little like this little girl laugh. And I saw him cringe and I'm like, oh, I got you. Do you now? So if I saw him anytime, I just sneak up with him and just do the little creepy laugh and he would cringe like that. I'm like, oh, you've got your weakness. Yeah. So finding people's little weaknesses, that's my jam.
Yeah.
I find that a lot of those ones that are like not moving, like especially like if you're working in an open haunt area and they're like watching and they're interested, but they're not getting scared, and they're watching. The hit on them is to come around and not get them from behind, but go behind them and then slip in next to them. They're watching, then all of a sudden there's no one there. They look away, and then they look back, and you're right there in their face, in their space. They didn't expect that, and that's a good hit. You can usually get them, even though the whole time they were like nonchalant, just watching everything. You can see they're enjoying themselves, but then you give them it's just a startle, but because you're so close to them, it builds the startle up really hard. Always a fun one to play.
Oh, I really love doing when we'd be roaming outside. I used to love just doing the real sneak, quiet walk up behind someone, and I would do like just the quiet right next to them, and like it was my favorite thing because one of two reactions: they either tense up their entire body and just can't move, or they just book it. And I'm like, that was fun.
Gotcha. Got him.
And it's so simple too. It's like,
yeah,
like I love the big like grotesque, over the top scares that just like terrorize people. But there's something nice I prefer about the subtle, like in your brain. I'm like a twisted psychological psychopath a little bit, apparently.
It's fine.
It's fine.
Welcome to the club.
Oh, fun! I'm accepted somewhere. That's exciting.
One of us.
One of us.
Yes. So, okay, how did you guys spend your holidays? The Christmas and the New Year's this year?
My brain had to go back. I'm like, what did I do during the holidays? I feel like most of my holiday was preparing more so for the show that we're opening this weekend, Pain Academy, who did a lot of rehearsals for that. We've actually been rehearsing for that for not rehearsing per se, but training for pretty much 2 years. Like when COVID happened, we were like, well, what are we going to do? We can't do any of our shows. So then we moved on to online immersive stuff, and we started doing like workshops online. And then slowly I started having little pods of cast come over, all masked and whatnot. I feel like that started to happen. Man, I don't even know. I'm like the timeline of vaccinations minus the T.
Yeah.
We started having people over, and started just doing training, because I figure if we're going to do things that are more intense, we need to be safe even more so. And that was one of the nice things about the old company, is that we got a lot of reviews that were like, man, I felt like I was going to die, but like, I also felt very safe at the same time.
That's awesome.
That's what we want, a feeling of like, you could die, but I feel in good hands.
If I die happy.
I died in a caring kind of way. And so I just took all my, professor skills and started creating curriculum to figure out like, what do we need to know as a base? What are the safety things we need to know? Actually having people come in to practice on before we actually have guests come in and do it. And then with that training, designed a show that is about the Pain Academy training. So it's learning how we torment here at Black Man.
That's awesome. So it opens like this coming weekend?
On Friday. It opens on it will open on the 25th, and then we're going to run a couple different shows.
What's the date? February 25th?
Yeah, February 25th. And then we're going to run for 3 weekends, and it's going to be, we're going to offer a variety of intensity. So like if people don't want any pain at all, they just want to have the ride of the storyline, there's an intensity for you. If you want to ride the edge and, want us to push you down, and figure out what the edge is, there's a show for you, and everywhere in between. So we've sat down and like figured out what the descriptions of what those like numbers, everything's on an out of 5 scale. So to figure out like, all right, what does a 2 mean? What does a 4.5 mean?
Yeah. So
that we can clearly tell our guests like what they're getting into. And then, we're open to people being like, hey, I got a bad knee. Tell us what that is so we can adjust our show. We actually did that when Shar came through one of the shows, because like as Shar said earlier, she's not a chaser anymore. So we can definitely do little things in our shows where we're like, all right, guest is this. So we're just going to tweak this scene just a little like that. Still keeping like the show intensity, but let's take the like physical intensity a little down so that, more people can come to the shows.
And before I answer your question, I have to tell you that they did do a great job, because I am always worried. I have a back injury from a haunt.
Yeah.
And I am really worried when I go to do anything. And I'm always like, they know, and they were wonderful, because they didn't baby me. They did the show as the show was, and it was great. Just they didn't push me or anything where I would hurt my back.
Right.
Yeah.
Anything where there was any kind of and I don't know what the things were that they were doing that they didn't do, but I was I felt safe the whole time. Not, physically safe, like I wasn't going to hurt my back, but mentally, no, not
mentally, you fucked me up, she said.
Yeah. And then to answer your question, Raina, I'm sorry, did I cut you off? Because I just wanted to say about that.
You're good.
Okay.
I guess
I'm really excited for Pain Academy because of the levels that you're offering.
Yeah, that's so cool.
Okay, so to tell you what I did for Christmas, and I know this is going to sounds weird, but I'm also a Mrs. Claus.
Heck yeah.
I love that.
With a Santa who is also a longtime haunter that I work with, and we do Mr. and Mrs. Claus, and we do these shows. And it's funny when people just say how sweet we are and how nice we are, and I just look at him and he looks at me, and we just are laughing the whole time inside. Because it just like it's a performance and it's a show.
Yep.
The only thing is you can't make anybody scream when you're doing the show. So you're performing. It's a different part of the brain that you're using.
I'm sure
Really
some children sit on Santa's lap and just scream, and it takes you
I
back
know.
home.
I know. And the guy who plays Santa with me, his name is Mike Williams. He's also an actor and a haunter. He's been haunting for a long time too, like 30 or plus, maybe more. I don't know. So he's a long time haunter. So I know him well, and I met him at Knott's, and we had never worked together till he came to work at 17th Door, and I got to work with him a little bit, and then we started doing this, and it's kind of funny. And then when people in haunt see I start posting stuff on my social media with Mrs. Claus and stuff, it's kind of weird. And then people find out that it just doesn't go. And I'll tell you the honest truth, I prefer a scary haunt during Christmas. And I have worked those a few times. I much rather do those. But if that's not what's available, there's always Mrs. Claus and doing Christmas stuff like that.
Yeah,
that's awesome.
That seems to be the theme. It's you're either scary or you're either sweet like Mother Willow. So it's one of the two.
And I can tell you, I did do an immersive theater for hurting.com, hurting, where I told him I wanted to do a show where I play the good Kirk and the evil Kirk, two sides of the same coin in the same show. And he wrote a show where I played, and also my friend, my Santa was also there, Dusty. I played Mrs. Claus, where I made cookies it was an immersive show, and they came in and we baked cookies and decorated cookies, and they had this wonderful time with me. And then later on, they saw the other side of me where I was quite a monster. Still being Mrs. Claus. So every night have to switch back and forth, like, 10 times, 12 times. That was a great challenge for me. So much fun. Got to be the Mrs. Happy Claus and then swing around right into the evil side of.
That's awesome.
That's really
fun.
Cool.
Yeah, that was fun. Reyna, have you ever worked at a Christmas haunt?
In Christmas time, no, I think the closest thing we ever did to Christmas haunt was the New Year's Cheers show. But other than that, I don't think I've ever was part of anything Christmas haunty. Did we freeze?
No,
nope,
we're good.
We're good.
We were
just
listening
intently.
I was literally about to say that. She takes the words out of my mouth.
Well, what was it like doing a New Year's theme?
That one was interesting. We tried to create kind of like a New Year's party with the guests coming in and immersing them into this, could have been a cool like house party. And I did things like I had a questionnaire about like what their favorite music was, what their favorite foods were. And then after kind of putting them through a crazy torment scene, then sat them down at a dinner table, blindfolded them. And for some of them, I would actually like give them their favorite food, but because they were so wrecked, they were like making faces like they hated it. I'm like, bro, you said this was your favorite food in the world.
Wow, that's really cool.
And then for some of them, I would I unblindfolded them, and then I would have the dish and be like, who should I give this to? And it might have been, that's what I did. I did blindfolded with the good things, and then I did a round of bad things. So they were like, oh, what's that gross candy? Good and Plenty's. If you like, I don't know. See?
I like them.
Good and Plenty. It's got black licorice inside it.
Like it.
Oh, you do like them? Yeah, so you're weird.
I love candy corn too.
I actually had, and I've never, I like candy corn too. I do like candy corn. I had a plant in as one of the guests, and I had somebody choose, I forget how we manipulated it, but we got them to pick that guy to eat cat food, but the cat food was a mix up. So like everyone got to watch us feed somebody cat food. One person said sushi. So I had like nice salmon sushi and I was about to feed to them. And instead we had a character come and just grab it and just eat it like in front of him, like in like a kind of messed up way. Like, oh, you think you want the sushi? Nah, the sushi is mine. So little like messed up things like that, you know. It was kind of a weird hodgepodge of a bunch of different characters coming together for Cheers. It was called Cheers. But yeah, it was fun. And then some of them had never gone through our very first show, which was called a prelude. So we took them downstairs and basically ran them through that, which involved them laying down on a mattress while two characters talked and gave dialogue, and they had drip torture on their blood drip torture on them. So they got, it was a very bloody show. And then I think that other people that had gone or had gone through, we made them be part of like that kind of initiation and watch them and make them like hold them down and stuff like that. So it was fun. It was a little chaotic. It was one of the more chaotic shows that we've done. Most of the shows are very like rehearsed and planned out. That one was kind of a like, this is my idea. I think we can pull it off. Here are the beats. We had a meeting beforehand and then we just kind of did it.
I think it's a lot of fun when it feels chaotic, but it's rehearsed. Like you have what's happening. But to the guests, it feels chaotic. And I think if you can give them that chaos, I think that's a really cool experience for them.
Yeah.
Like, controlled chaos.
Absolutely.
Is like the best.
The pièce de résistance. I don't know if I said that right.
I don't know either.
Maybe. There we go.
Thank you for the assist.
Yeah. I need help sometimes.
I have a burning question. So this is for Reyna. What got you into wrestling?
That is a very good question.
Brienne's probably been burning with that question as well.
Yes.
That's a good question. When I was little, my brothers watched when it was WWF. Before it turned to E. And my brothers are much older than I am. They're 13 and 15 years older than me. So like when I was 4, I was basically their they flipped me around and put me in holds and like body slamming me on the water bed. And so like I was already like as a little kid very physical. Like I didn't because of my stature, I feel like I never got in a lot of fights. But I could have, you know. And I like grappled and played with, you know, the boys. And then my older brother had a kid young also, and because of our age distance, his kid is actually closer to my age. And so we would play fight, you know, I'm like, well, you did it to me and I'm going to do what your dad did to me. We'd go in the backyard and like pretend, you know, hit each other with like chairs and stuff. So it was just kind of like, I just grew up play fighting. And that's just kind of how I played, you know. It's interesting now because my partner Paul and I will talk, you know, he didn't grow up physical like that with his brother at all. And so when I kind of want to go like play fight, he's just like, what are you doing?
I'm like, no,
please stop.
That's not how I play. It's not how I show up. And then and so that all translated it really easy when I started doing the extreme contact haunt stuff, because I'm like, oh, I already know how to use my hands. And then when WoW had open auditions, I was like, oh, okay, I think I could do this. I do some stunts and stuff already for like independent movies. So that all kind of translated into that. And then now that training has then come full circle, because now I even more feel comfortable holding somebody, moving somebody, lifting up people, and doing more of those things. Now more dangerous, but safe also. Safe. And then going and just says, you know, I've been already the scary monster. So once they kind of saw that, they're like, oh, all right, big scary monster. That tracks. Big scary.
And you were now a heel.
Monster heel. Yeah.
Love it. Any plans to come to Canada and wrestle? I'm just curious.
Not that I'm aware of. All that I do know is that our next live tapings will be at the Globe in downtown LA, and that will be May, the first Thursday, Friday, Saturday of May, and then the same thing in June. So that's all I know. But I know that there's more future stuff coming soon for where. I don't know where, but yeah.
Oh,
for now,
you're on TV now, right?
I am, yes. So it's the Pluto TV app and the CW. It's the category of Seed CW, and I'm the first match of the finale of season 1. So that's my debut episode as Chainsaw. Either of those apps. Yeah.
I saw it. It was really fun.
Thanks.
It was so good. She has her own finishing move that's perfect.
Oh, I'm so
Not
excited.
finishing move. What is your chainsaw called?
Oh, when I do this on the back?
Yeah.
That's just called the chainsaw.
Not a finisher though. It's just a signature move.
Yeah.
Really fun though. I'm also a big wrestling fan, and I was watching wrestling since when it was WWWF before Vince owned it and his father.
Yeah, his father. Yeah.
So I was watching it when Bruno Sammartino was champion.
Oh shit!
You watched it.
Wow.
I've been to lots of wrestling shows. I want to see. I can't wait. I want to come see you wrestle.
I want to come see you wrestle.
Yeah.
Fuck yeah. Oh.
Totally. And what's cool too, it's like they all support, horror monsters, and like a bunch of the creative directors there. We have Jeannie Buss, that the LA Lakers owner. So that's kind of cool. It's like women owned, women run. Yeah. I mean,
It's
AJ Mendes up there, and Tessa Blanchard. Yeah.
It's so interesting to see it, like how wrestling and horror do kind of just go hand in hand.
Mm-hmm.
Like, not to just give all the credit to like WWE and stuff, because they get a lot of credit on their own. But they have done so many different like horror movies with a lot of their wrestlers, and given like that opportunity to kind of branch out that way, which I think is like kind of cool. And I think some people wouldn't necessarily expect it unless it specifically had to do with like a big name like Undertaker or something. They wouldn't just be like, oh yeah, wrestling and horror, that goes hand in hand.
But I mean, like it's easy to like transition into that, because like horror has a lot of stunts, wrestling has a lot of stunts, so it's easy for them to be like, let's just cast a bunch of wrestlers. It makes sense, right?
Don't have to pay for an actor and a stunt guy when you got 2 in 1. Yeah.
I was really surprised. I went to one of these online horror conventions or haunt conventions during the pandemic, and there was one of the classes or one of the panels they were doing was about wrestling in haunts, and one of the guys was an amateur wrestler, or not. I'm sorry, not an amateur wrestler, an indie wrestler, and he also worked haunt, and he was using wrestling stuff in his haunt, and he was going through it. And I was like, that is really cool. That's something you don't often see, except with Reyna, but you don't really see like that kind of thing in haunts per se.
Yeah,
but sure, it absolutely, if you had the right people doing it, and I think not haunts, maybe immersive theater.
Yeah. And then it comes back to controlled chaos.
Yeah.
I actually used in my audition a scene. It's in post-production right now, but I directed and wrote a movie called No Way to Die. And I have a fight scene with 5 other women in it. And so like in the audition, I was like, and also I did this. Bloop. oh, 5 at once? Cool. And then I remember just telling them that I pick up, my roommate, my other founder all the time, that he's about, 200-ish pounds.
Yeah.
And they're like, when was the last time you picked him up? I'm just like, I don't know, earlier today, yesterday.
And they're like, here, please sign this contract for us. Yeah.
Kind of. That was And I remember almost leaving without even talking about my chainsaw stuff. And I just kind of I was like, oh yes, and it would be really cool to see me like come into the ring with like a chainsaw. And they're like, I'm sorry, come back, what?
Chainsaw what? I was gonna ask, like,
chainsaws.
I was like, that's kind of a random weapon to have. Like, how did that get incorporated into the character?
Right. Oh yeah, just because that's one of my things that I love. Yeah.
It's like, fuck yeah, that's so cool. That's funny. Yeah.
I think it's awesome that she uses the chainsaw, because every haunt I've ever worked at that has a chainsaw, and almost all of them do, it's always the big guy that has a chainsaw, not the big girl, the big guy. So to see that she's been able to work that whole chainsaw, that's really awesome.
Yeah.
And when I worked my first corporate haunt, it was a Frightmare on Market Street in San Diego. I was 18. I had never worked at a, big, I'd always been like home haunts or the little hayride. And I wanted to use the dang chainsaw. And Bob was our manager, and he was a little sexist, very sexist. He didn't want to let me use that chainsaw. And I had to beg him. And literally he was like, well, if you have any problems with the chainsaw, then that's it. I'm like, all right, give me the chainsaw.
Yeah. I'll show you what problems I'll have with the chainsaw. Jesus.
Yep.
Honey, if the chainsaw is too heavy for you, honey, and you're not scaring, it's okay. Well, you can let one of the boys do it. You could stand over there and throw flowers at the...
Do you need me to start it for you?
Oh my God. One of my...
Exactly.
Boy, was he surprised when you started using it and just nailing those haunts. Those scares.
It's funny because I haven't thought about him in this regard. I can't wait for him to see me wrestle and to be like, oh.
Hell yeah.
No, knowing him, who's, as you said, a little bit sexist, he's probably like, I gave her that first opportunity with that chainsaw.
I made that.
She's lucky I gave it to her.
If it wasn't for me,
she wouldn't be where she is.
Oh, that's funny. That's funny. You're totally right.
Yeah.
We'll send him that sound bite when that actually happens.
Yeah.
You were saying something about your friend?
Oh, I was just going to say, like, I have always loved the times where at our haunt, we would have, like, a Leatherface type character. And they would always come out of the haunt all sheepishly and be like, oh, we can't start it. And then either myself, and I know Brianne's done it too, where we just like, boom.
Like first rip.
And they're like, I don't know how I didn't do it. I was like, it's fine.
It's okay, honey. I got you.
I got you.
Let mama take care of it. It's fine.
Exactly.
That's my favorite, is like disproving like men.
Yeah.
It's just, I used to work at a warehouse, and it was me, one other woman, and like two guys. And we hand bombed like all of like 300 something boxes in from like a truck into our warehouse. And I was the one who was like in the truck packing everything. A couple hours later, we had a delivery driver come up. He saw all the boxes and he was like, oh, lots of boxes. And he kind of looks around and see one of the guys at the very back. And he's like, oh, there's the guy. And I was like, sorry, what? He was like, oh, well, he must have handed the boxes. I was like, actually, I'm the one who did it all. Thank you very much. And I slammed the garage door in his face. Fuck you, dude.
Nice. Oh, you just gave me a flashback memory with the slamming the door in his face. So at my second Heretic show I ever did, I was playing a serial killer. So nice. We were like catching bait to find the serial killer. And one of the scenes was just straight up in a U-Haul on the street in this public place.
Love it.
So scene one happens in this condo. This big burly dude walks down the stairs from the condo through this apartment or condo complex with the guest over to this U-Haul. And at some point, somebody called the cops because, we're shady people. The U-Haul is straight up like Dextered out in plastic. We have an actor in the back of the U-Haul with the like prosthetic, like slow throat cut slit thing, with like a tube going around her body. And I remember some, citizen came up to the back, kind of trying to look to see what was going on. And I was in show mode. So like, I just straight up like Leatherface shut the U-Haul door. And as soon as it happened, I was like, yeah, that couldn't have looked good at all. And sure enough, the cops show up. Fast forward, our woman that's like the throat slit in the back's like, it's okay, there's a tube.
It's okay. The woman who's got her throat cut is talking. Everything is fine.
Everything's fine. It's fine. Yeah. I've had the cops called a few times. I've actually had the LAPD helicopter on me at some point.
Okay,
yeah.
Tell us that story.
How?
I need story
time. Was that
time.
the U-Haul again or something different?
No, this was a big warehouse, and apparently the guy renting the warehouse to us didn't tell this other guy that rents the warehouse that what or who we were.
Oh no.
And so literally I'm doing a scene with the guest and I have this whole warehouse to myself. There were two, most of the shows in the main warehouse. I'm in the second warehouse where this guy's doing woodwork or pottery or some shit in the other room. And so I'm taking the guest, you know, walking them through violently to the other side of this warehouse. And I made eye contact with this dude through a little window. I made eye contact with him and I'm like, that can't be good. So I finished my scene. I'm done with this guy. I get handed off and I just kind of whispered to our stage manager, just like, pretty sure, because at that point I heard the cop, like a cop chirp noise. I'm like, pretty sure that's because of me, just so you know, this is what there's a dude over there. And then the next thing I know, there's the helicopter, lights are on our position. Luckily, that got de-escalated pretty quickly.
Yeah.
And the guy was actually embarrassed. He's just like, you know, it's Hollywood. I'm so sorry. I didn't think that. I'm like, I thought she had a knife, which I didn't have any weapons, but
No.
he saw me and he thought I was holding a knife to this dude. And like, no, that wasn't even what was happening. But thanks for that.
You know, that's really just like a compliment to your character and how well you hold the scene, really. Yeah.
Super committed.
Yeah, the realism.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You nailed it.
I think, that's the highest compliment.
I feel like that's what I want now is like I want the cops called on me because I did so good. Oh, thanks.
We can make that happen. Let's make it happen.
All right. I mean, yeah, fair.
I feel like I've had the cops calling me 3 or 4 times, and then 5 or 6 have been on our scene, but for other reasons.
Right.
Going on nearby.
Yeah.
Or sometimes it gets like, wow, this is a great production. We're like, shut the fuck up. This helicopter is not part of our scene.
Yeah.
We do not have that kind of budget. I don't know what you think. Like,
I've never had the cops called on me, but I had the park rangers called on me.
Okay.
And this was a Girl Scout senior cadet encampment, and we were in tents. And of course, what am I, like in 10th or 11th grade, something like that? So of course I bring a werewolf mask because we're camping. Don't you always?
Well,
I mean,
duh.
I always did.
It's
No,
marshmallows
I
and masks.
Yeah. So, you know, I waited to the second night because, you know, you want to set the pace. The second night, it was late and everybody, you know, we had fun, and the next day everyone was going to pack up, and I was like, time to play. Put on my mask and went out and worked the tents, just scratching the end of the tents. And you hear the girls inside, wait, what? It's a raccoon, and then sticking your head in and scaring everyone. And I hit one tent where they just got up and chased me. Oh. And remember, I'm like 10th or 11th grade, so I can run. And I ran and I hid, and they called the Rangers out, and I took my mask off, of course, and I slipped back in the group of girls and got my way back. But they had the Rangers with the flashlights looking.
Oh my God, that's amazing.
It's official. You both, I mean, you already were epic, but this just sent you to like
legendary status.
Yeah.
Well, I went the next year and they were talking about it. And I was like, better not do it again. I took my mask, I shoved it deeper in my duffel bag. I wasn't gonna. It had already made it from one year to the next year. I was like, I can't top that. I'm just gonna leave it. So they talked about it. So they were all like looking for me, thinking it was gonna happen again.
You created your own urban legend.
Yeah.
Yes, a little story that went around. I don't know how long it went around, but it was there the second year. So
it's still going on. Who knows?
Maybe.
Did they ever figure out it was you?
No.
Amazing.
They're not going to go through anyone's, we're kids and, they threw, let me tell you, I was running and they were throwing rocks at me and I had a rock hit me in the back of the head and I was bleeding. I didn't tell anyone. I put my hat, I had camp hats, put my camp hat on, I'm a Girl Scout. So, yeah. And I didn't think they'd appreciate, I didn't think it would get that bad. I mean, I just thought it would be, I scared a few people, but again, this is when I was a kid, and I know now that from experience that there's a different way to haunt when you're at a haunt, when you're on off that property. Like when I used to do promotions for knots, which were off-property promotions, and you go to the Angels game and you go to high schools and colleges and you hunt differently because you're on their property and they're going to school and they're doing their thing. So you really have to have a lot of boundaries. Well, back then I didn't know all that. So I was just like, hey, let's scare some people. But that was before I was a professional monster.
Yeah.
Reyna,
scaring your own friend is the best.
Yeah.
Sorry.
No, I was gonna say you worked with or did a like camping hunt, didn't you? Yeah.
Yeah. Great Horror Camp Out. We did 6 cities from we did LA, San Diego, Sacramento, San Francisco, Portland, and Seattle.
And I think Courtney was going to try and go to one.
I was going to try and go to the one that was in, I think, Sacramento, and I didn't end up going.
Yeah.
And I kick myself every day.
I kick her too.
Because I was going to take her with me.
Yeah. Oh God. And she told me about it, and I was like already peeing my pants. I was like, no, my imagination is too good.
Mm-hmm.
Like when I'm in performer haunt mode, it's one thing, but I am fully in guest mode when I'm a guest.
Yeah, same.
And all I got was just Jason vibes, and I was like, I'm not gonna die by machete. That's not how I go out. Okay, that's not. It will be another way.
Yeah, Camp Out was.
I want to know. Tell me about it. What were some of your favorite experiences from it?
It was cool because, like, as especially those of us that traveled with all the 6 cities, we got to kind of play all the games and whatnot, and, and practice for the other scenes.
Yeah.
So, like, imagine, right, like you're at a theme park and we've spread ourselves out, like in like Griffith Park here in LA, and there's like different zones, and each zone there's like some sort of they called it SCAG. I think it costs shit. Anyway, it was like a scavenger hunt. I forget what the acronym stands for. And you had like a map that had different like riddles and things, and you were supposed to figure out like what you were supposed to get from each zone. And yeah, you just played all these different games or like challenges. Like there was one zone with like dumpsters, and these goat men would like help you into the dumpster, and you had to go in the dumpster and find whatever item that was in the dumpster. There was one where there was like an RV, and you had to go through the RV, and there's different scary monsters in this like janky, like white trash kind of village, and you had to go through there and find things. And it was mostly fun, but like I think the similar problem with some escape rooms is that like, people think that everything is a something. So sometimes we'd go to people's tent and like find full prosthetic bodies, and we're like, bruh, like, that is not an item you were supposed to take. So sometimes like things like that would happen, but for the most part, everyone was cool. And there was like a nice variety. Like if you were a scaredy cat and didn't want to do any of that stuff, you could just stay in the like campfire or listen to a creepy creature, do songs at, or like learn how to do your own like face makeup. So there was like a zone that we were not allowed to like do any hardcore scares. Like I was allowed to capture people and put them into a little jail cell, and like, all right, here's a bunch of keys, figure out which key it is and get them out. So like you might be on your way to like be going to do something, and then I separate you from your group, and like your group goes off. There was literally, I think, a white van that would kidnap people with like candy like in the white van. One of my favorite gags was the little group of clowns that would go by, and they would shove the guest into sleeping bag, and it would have a tie to like the motorcycle. They had a motorcycle, and they would rev it all crazy, and like pull the string a little bit, and then they would take off real fast. And you thought you were going to be drugged, but they would just leave you there, and your friends would have to take.
That's awesome.
Things like that. They had all sorts of like little tricks like that, and little games that you would play. I think one of them involved those big balls that you put your body in, and you had to like ram. Like there was a game with that we played. I don't even remember what the game was. There were games where you like shot at each other. There was like a pool with a swamp monster. Like there was a variety of crazy things that they put together. The creative team, the Meyer to Meyer, they now do their own events. Justin and Melissa are amazing. Their creative minds are figuring all this out. And so if you got enough SCAG items, then you got to go do the award ceremony in the morning. And like, so it was kind of like you got a badge and whatnot. And like, yeah, it was kind of cool. Like the little girls, the scouts of the camp out. And the middle of the night, one of my other favorite parts is in the middle of the night, I want to say 3 or 4 in the morning, things would die down about like 1-ish in the morning. You know, people would go to bed. There would still be some activities going around, but at like 3-4 in the morning, they would send us out one last time. We would all scatter out real quiet throughout everybody's tents, because everyone was in a tent unless they were in the scaredy green zone. And then, like I said, I want to say it was closer to 5 in the morning, but in the middle of the night, everyone's sleeping. Metal music all of a sudden, and we would just zip open there as many as we could and drag out as many bodies as we could. Abrupt awakeness. There was definitely some people that were not prepared for that were not clothed maybe all the way. But that was my favorite part, is just the abrupt, like, I'm gonna ruin your night. Like, you think you're sleeping, but you were no longer sleeping. Or just messing with people's stuff that they left it outside. I did make somebody pee at one of the locations. Yep. She was scared of my chainsaw, and she actually found me to tell me that I made her that like, I think it was her friend that was like, thank you for scaring the pee out of my friend. It's like, how did you find me? Okay.
That's awesome. How did you find me?
When you make people pee, they always tell you.
Yeah.
And they're angry at you. You made me pee.
She wasn't bad at it. She wasn't even bad at it. I think she wasn't. Like, I peed.
I was just saying, like, they're either like mad or they're like overly proud that you made them pee. Like, oh my God, thank you for making me pee.
Oh, I've never had anyone thank me. I've always had people just get mad at me.
Oh.
You know, well, put a pan in next time. I don't know what.
Well, just start selling Depends.
Yeah.
Yeah, they should sell Depends at haunts.
Here is your ticket and your optional Depends.
And then they'd be like, what?
That right there, yeah, it's like,
yeah, I think people would put like that extra little worm in their brain going, if they're selling it, maybe I might need it. And it might get to some people. It would be a good gig. Because I know, like, at 17, the sign that's up in the front where it says all the things you're going to come in contact with, like bugs and electricity and water. And one of the things they put is the ground. And people think that's a joke, but it's true. People fall and they come in contact with the ground. So now it's a disclaimer. But, you know, they come through and then they come out and they're like, I thought those were jokes. Am I Reyna's working? Am I right?
Absolutely. They're like, will you guys actually do that stuff? Like, no, it's a warning, bro. Like, you gotta pay attention.
It's for a joke.
I have to legally say this so you can't sue me. Like,
and the sign, Reyna, how big is the sign?
It's huge. It's like 12 by 12, easy. Like, it's a giant sign.
Building. It's like the biggest sign you're ever going to see, you know?
And they signed the waiver, too.
And they signed the waiver. Well, no one reads the waiver.
It's on the wall.
It's on the wall. It's on the website. But the wall is like, and you're in a line and you can't miss it. It's like this huge sign. And people read it and they laugh about everything that's there. But on the way out, they're not laughing anymore. They're like, oh my, the first time they go through. When you've gone through once, you're more prepared to understand that that's happening.
Yeah.
But they come out and you always know the people, it's their first time through because they come out like, I can't believe that was a real bug on me, or, you know, whatever.
Right.
First is too is when you barely touched them. You touched me. It's like, that's the least that's about to happen to you.
This is a gentle
I always
push.
try to make, I usually work like one of the first room, but try to let them know early that they're going to get touched if they didn't get touched outside, just to get them past that so they know it's going to happen. So, you know, they don't get like, you know, people react all differently, but if they know it and it's gentle, I'm not being aggressive with people, and they're more like, oh my God, I can't believe that she just touched me. It's like, yeah. You saw the waiver, or you saw the sign, you saw the warnings. Yeah, but I didn't think it was really going to happen.
Some people's minds, man.
You dumb.
It's like you read it on a paper, you read it on a sign, you get it verbally told to you, and you thought it wasn't going to happen.
There's like this weird thing I find with people who you could put it on a sign, you can highlight it, you can have the audio like through a line tell you exactly what's on that sign. Something as simple as don't bring out your phone in a house. No lighters allowed. And they're like, I didn't see it. And I'm like, how in the world did you not see this?
And then they're like this through the whole thing.
I wasn't scared. Well, your flashlight was on, so there's that.
I remember when
show where we made fun of all of those people. It was called Hell Date. That was our Valentine's Day show a couple years ago. So basically, you were going through a haunted house with the worst date, right? This person who's taking pictures, who has their light on, who's touching the actors, who's doing all of these, who comes drunk and throws up on you, all of these horrible things. That yeah.
Oh, that's nice. That's kind of like another way to like release the energy of like, this is a real thing that happens. This is terrifying to us.
This is our constant.
Yeah.
Well, I can remember before cell phones, right? And then like the first couple of years when cell phones came into, because I've been haunting for a long time. So in the first couple of years that cell phones came in and people would just be like, oh, there's the monster, and just walk up to you, put their cell phone and get a selfie with you.
Yeah.
That never happened before cell phones. And I remember the first couple of times it happened, it was like, huh? I wasn't sure. What do I do? How do I react? Do I just go pose, or do I try to scare them? And it was a combination of both the first year. Yeah. But it was really, it threw me off my game for the first couple of times where people just, oh, there's a monster, and then they just run over to you. It was weird.
Yeah.
Yeah, I guess because now
much better before cell phones for haunts. And, you tell them over and over when they're going into a haunted house or even like in the street, or what's worse is they're walking through an area and it's like all this stuff, it's decorated to the nines, and, all the monsters are busting their butts and putting on this great show, and they're doing this. They're popping away on their phone. It's like, put the phone down for an hour and enjoy what's happening around you.
Yeah.
Experience the world.
Don't
Experience the world.
Look at it through the screen in front of you. Yeah.
Well, last year, 17th Door really took care of that. There was a water effect. And if you had your phone out, your phone was wet. And it was told over and over and over and over. But there was, of course, no matter how many times you tell people, they think you're joking. There was some people that lost their phones because they didn't listen. They didn't want to believe it. They were told, leave your phone in the car. And people like, yeah. And then they told again at the front twice. And then a couple more times along the way, right before it's going to happen. And then if they didn't listen, oh, well, how many times you have to tell somebody it?
The little idiots.
And always have the option of saying, mercy, which they can skip the room and they don't have to go through it. So there's always that option. So, but you know how the guests are. The guests are the guests.
They're very tough and they can do anything they want.
That's right. Yeah. Don't take away my phone. Don't tell me not to use my phone. They come in and it's like you're doing a show and it's like they're just filming you and you can't really experience the show from the other side of the camera. Yeah. Yes, I know you want to look back and see it, but just put it down and have fun and enjoy it and scream and get terrorized with us.
Yeah.
Be part of it. Be here. Be present.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No one's present anymore.
Yeah, it's hard. It's hard to get people away from their phones.
Yeah.
Hard.
Yeah.
Okay, question for you both. What do you think is the most challenging part of immersive theater?
Oh, they're even thinking about it. Nice.
For me, if like everything, is being able to do a character around my limitations of the physicality. Like I wish I could pick people up like she can, right. Or I used to be able to do more physical things. So having to redesign what I want to do versus what I can do. Like in my mind, I want to do this, and this, but I know I can only do this. Now I have to start here. And from this point, what do I want to do? How do I want to blossom that and make that a stronger, more powerful scene or haunt or scare or whatever I want to do because I can't do these other things that I really want to do that would work great here. So I would say it's my own limitations and getting past that.
Right.
I would say probably meeting the guests' expectations and making sure that they know as much as we can tell them about the show, what to kind of expect without giving everything away. And then meeting not just their like show expectations, but the like physicality and intensity expectation and making sure that matches. And then making sure that all equates to the ticket price as well, because that's a lot of what I do is trying to figure out, here's the show, here's how many cast members. I do a lot of the business side stuff. So therefore packaging this show should be this price. And is the guest think that's fair? And is that going to give us enough money to pay our cast and crew members? Because we always pay cast and crew members.
Now, Reyna, you just answered that as a producer.
Yeah.
As a performer.
Meeting the guest no, I'm just kidding.
But still, yeah.
I mean, but then then applying it as if I'm performing in the show, then making sure that I'm meeting the show's expectations when I perform that show.
Yeah.
So like, if the show's a level 3 out of 5 physicality, making sure that I'm not going too far, and then also making sure I'm giving them enough where they feel satisfied that that was the intensity level that they signed up for.
Yeah, exactly. Like meeting their bang for their buck.
Yeah.
Do you think the guests really realize how much we spend so much time trying to think of how they're going to react, how much time we're trying to think about them? Like we put so much work into our performance or our shows, and I don't think they understand what we do. This is one of the reasons why I started talking openly about the things that we do, because it had always been so hush hush.
That's why I love when other creators come through our shows, because they understand.
Yeah.
That's
because for a guest, it's like it's only one night or like one or maybe once or twice a year or something like that. Whereas for you guys or for any performer, it is multiple times. It's running through the same scene, different scenes, and there's so much that goes into it. So it's like, well, the guest may feel that intensity for one night. You guys are feeling it for multiple nights on multiple different levels.
Yeah, and like what Reyna just said, she's constantly thinking of, is this what I'm giving the guests? Is this so? You're always putting your guests like at first, like you have your art that you want to do, and you have your show, and you have a performance. You want to make this piece of art and put it out there, but because it's a performance art, you're always thinking of where the guest is and how the guest fits in, and you want to make sure that they're getting, like, it's not me putting it out, it's me putting it out, you getting it, and you coming back with it. It's an interactive thing. And most people, like Reyna says, only people that are behind the scenes that actually produce shows and produce haunts get it. But yeah, there is a lot that almost 99% of the people that go through a haunted house, they just come out laughing and having a good time, and they're happy and they're satisfied. We did a good job. I guess it's the same thing with magic. You put so much into making the illusion look a certain way, and then when you're done, people are like, wow. Some people are trying to figure out how that rabbit got in the hat, but most people are just sitting back and going, wow, that was so cool. We do the same thing.
Do you guys like get a little extra, extra high when people that or other creators come through your guys' experiences? Because it's like you might have seen their stuff and you just want to show off what you're doing. And like you said, they understand what you are working on. So is it like a little extra boost when you notice them come through?
Yeah, I think so. A little bit, because then it's just like, oh, I went through your show, check out my show. So it's a little bit more like, I guess, friendly competition.
Yeah.
That I've definitely worked for companies where it's like, no, what we do is what we do, and we don't others, and so I think here we very much are friendly with a lot of different creators for a lot of different reasons, and one of them is just to bounce stuff like that off each other, and then have each other just enjoy each other's show is it's nice. And then you also know that if they're going to give you feedback, it's going to be honest feedback, And so that's kind of nice too. Or if they're going to say something good, they're not just blowing smoke up your butt, because they are going to want that same feedback back.
Yeah,
so that's
true.
Yeah.
Yeah, I always like seeing people that I know or people that I've heard of or something like that. And as long as I'm doing something that I'm proud of, which is all the time, except like sometimes there's films that not all the films I've done are things I'm going to talk about. Not all. Some of them are amazing, but not all. Because it's hard to tell. It's hard to tell on the page when you get a script and you get a character and you're like, yeah, I got this. And then you have, like, that's one of the things about doing shows is you don't have as much creative input in it. Like when you're doing a scene in a haunt or an immersive show, you have, even if somebody writes out the entire script for you and tells you stand here, do this, do that, and you're going to be, if everything's written out, that's fine. There's no improv. You're still have a lot of control on the scene. When you do a film or TV, you just do it and it's there and it's gone, and you never know if it's going to get good or get bad, but it's out there. For shows, it's a lot easier for me to figure out if a show's good or not. For a film, I'm just like, all right, sounds like a cool thing to do, and let's give it a shot.
Yeah.
But with shows, I'm always thrilled because I'm proud of the work I'm doing. So I'm always thrilled that other people can see the work I'm doing.
Yeah, for sure. I can contest
Reyna, do you find the same way with film? And you guys do film too.
Yeah.
Yeah, I see what you mean, because you don't know what the end gonna look like. You're like, I did my scene and that's what it is, but how they're gonna put that into the finished product, who knows? Versus, like, I was just, when you were talking, I was thinking of Switchblade Romance, and like when I'm able to watch a show over and over and over, like I watched her do that performance 50 times and I was never bored. Yeah.
Right.
Oh yeah, it's like you couldn't see me because I was in the control room, but I watched you perform like 50 times throughout that run, and I never got bored.
And every time was different.
Yeah, because you had to interact with all the different. I was going to say weirdos. With the different.
Well, I try to, like, especially for immersive shows, but haunts too. I try to have in my mind 5 basic shows and then vary those shows. So there'll be the similar elements in every show, but I'm looking for reactions on my victims. I'm looking for their reactions on where I'm gonna, like, it's almost like in my mind, like a choose your own adventure, depending on what's coming out of them or how they're reacting or not reacting. Some people don't react at all, and then you're like, okay, this is a puzzle. Let's see, I'll try this, but you got to instantly swing into something differently.
Yeah.
Thank you, Reyna, for that. But with a film, you don't have that, But I like doing it because I like doing live stuff the best. Okay, of course. And I have to say, the stuff I've done with Black Mask, there's a control that there's boundaries and there's a script and there's stuff you want to follow, but there's also a freedom and a trust, which I really appreciate. I like working with directors who trust me that I'm going in the same direction as them. And, that has not always occurred in my career, but absolutely with Black Mask. Other shows I've done, yes, but not every single show. So I think it's really important hiring the right people, training them correctly, and trusting that they'll take the scene where you also want them, and also having people be able to listen to the directors and listen. You need, everything was good, but here's what we need a little more of, or try this, or and being able to not go, well, this is the way I do it. I've seen people say that and do that, and it's like, that's not really helpful for a show. You want to do a one-man show or one-person show, rather, that's great. But when you're working in a show where there's other people and there's a director and a producer and there's other people, you have to be able to work with other people, and I think that's really important. But I have to say, kudos, Reyna, that Black Mask really does train well and trust.
Yeah, I was going to say
Yeah.
that trust is a huge thing because Raina, as you were talking earlier about the party that you had where it was kind of just like wasn't super planned out and you had like friends come over and do that. I was like, you have to have a strong core group of people who are going to be able, you can trust to do that with you without too much like plan ahead of time. How did, like, did you just find everyone through Black Mass or just through every like place you've worked?
Everyone was already a Black Mass cast and crew member, and so the 4 founders of us kind of ran the core. Since we've worked together for so many years, I was just kind of like, all right, us 4, we're going to do this. Here's kind of what the branching off of everyone else, what they're going to do. Yeah. And so at this point, I think we're close-ish to the like 50-person mark for our cast and crew.
That's awesome.
Member. Yeah. After 17th Door this last season, we scooped up a couple more people. Since the previous season, I worked mostly a show called Pathology, so I didn't do 17th Door till closer to Halloween. So I got to know a lot more people. When we started, there was about a third of us that came from Queen Mary's Dark Harbor, a third from 17th Door, and then a third just like actor et al. That's what I call that group. And some of the actor et al. People ended up going to 17th Door. So, I think now, if not all of us have dabbled or have worked full time at 17th Door. So already having the foundation of like what intensity goes on there, that kind of like, all right, you all already kind of check some boxes. So now let's see, from what you already know, let's crank it up and see what you can do from there. Got my, now I have like a core of people that are training to be more aggressive. I have a core of people that are trained just to be safeties. And I have a pool of them I can call upon, and then we just have regular actor people. But everybody goes through a basic level of safety training, whether you're a safety or you're going to do something aggressive or not. Everyone has to go through that basic training because you never know. You might not be assigned to be the safety, but if you're in the room, you should know some basic levels of what it means to be, safe.
Yeah, of course. Safety is number 1.
I would totally put in my resume if I lived down there.
Yeah, me too.
Hi, I've shown up.
And then the other way we keep
it's nice, but
what's
Shar
that?
was saying about like how everyone keeps. What did you say, Shar? Oh, sorry.
What were you saying, Raina?
I said Canada's nice, but Canada is
something. Then we do the safety training, the kind of tormentor training, but we also and it's been, of course, rugged throughout the pandemic, but we have been trying to do lots of just improv training with them, because I have my acting class that I've gone to and my acting coach, and I try to take those skills into a sandbox where we can be a little bit more horror, scary, evil oriented.
Yeah.
Because, I've tried to do some stuff over in the regular acting class, and I'll get a couple like, all right, that's dark.
There is room for dark acting everywhere.
Always.
I'm with you.
Always.
Right.
Shar, where can we see you on social media? And like if people want to check out all the stuff that you're doing?
Well, starting March 1st starts Sharfest, which is something I do for my birthday. Both you guys going to come on this year. Raina was on last year. And what Sharfest is, it started before the pandemic, and I would just go for my birthday to different haunted shows and stuff. And I just film, and I know a lot of people. So I'd go backstage and I'd film and put it on the internet, and it just became a thing, and it just kept growing. And then once we went into lockdown last March, I was like, I'll just do Sharfest online, and I'll do, instead of the week, I'll do the whole month. And now I'll do it again this month, and we'll have people on, a few people, and I've got a new format I'm going to do where I'm going to have hopefully get other haunters to come in and talk about, like we're doing, talk about haunt, and I'll do that. For Sharfest will be the month of March, so I'll be working on that, and you can find out about that through my Facebook, which I'm Shar Mayer on Facebook. My name is SharMayer, Shar Mayer, and I'm also Sharfest. I think it's Sharfest 20. I don't know what the number is. You can go through my social media, Instagram. I'm Sharfest. I'm Shar Mayer also, and my website is sharmayer.com. But anybody who wants to chat haunting, I love to chat haunting. Obviously, I talk to people all the time online, And come say hi to me. Drop in on. I'll be on Instagram, Instagram Live and Facebook Live. If people want to chat about haunt stuff, because that's what I like to do.
Always.
And then other than that, that's what I'm doing in March, and then we'll see about what's going to happen with the next show with Black Mass, not Pain Academy, but the one after that one.
Our next show should be Blindness, which I found the tag for that is In the Land of the Blind, the One-Eyed is King. And that's a show by Alex C. James. And that'll be the end of March / April is when that will be. That's all the information I have about that show for sure.
Awesome. So I'll take whatever info I can get.
So it's Sharfest and then Blindness, and that's what I'm going to be working on. Having a great time and chatting with haunt people.
Yeah. All right, Reyna, tell us, where can we find you? What's going on?
So my Instagram is Chainsaw Queen 13, the best number out there.
Hell yeah.
Black Mass is spelled funny. Let's see if it'll come up. Bam. BL4KM4SS is Black Mass. That's the show Black Mass. So yeah, no C and the A's are 4s. I know. Sometimes we'll get somebody that's like, I emailed you. And I'm like, check to see if you spelled it right. Sure enough, they did not. And if you want to follow my wrestling persona Chainsaw, it's wow_chainsaw. That's it. Yeah.
I'm literally doing that right now as we speak.
And I have to say, like, anybody that's interested in Black Myth, they do online shows, they do in-person shows, and it's constantly going. It's a year-round thing. So, if you can't do one this month, maybe next month, let them know. Go on Instagram or go on Facebook or email them and find out what's going on, because there's always something going on. There's no excuse not to have fun and be an immersive experience and have a scary time.
That's going to be the new tagline. There's no excuse to not have fun.
Yes. There's no excuse to not have fun.
Even through the pandemic, we were still scaring people.
Hell yeah.
We got our screams, our fun screams.
Yeah. Woo-hoo-hoo. Awesome. Well, thank you guys so much. This has been such a fucking pleasure.
An incredible pleasure.
Our pleasure. My pleasure.
Yeah, thank you.
I'm still just full on geeking out, so I'm just gonna be over here
fangirling on the inside.
So happy.
This has been awesome.
This has been great.
It's been great for me.
Yeah.
Thanks for honoring women in honor of Women in Horror Month.
Absolutely.
Anytime. You should make this a yearly occurrence.
Yes, absolutely.
Every February.
Every February.
What a great way to end the month, yeah. Oh man, okay, that was really fucking awesome.
I am like, my face hurts from smiling so much.
I know. I was just like, I got like a little bit of vertigo because I just kept nodding my head at like everything they were saying.
They were so cool. I am just like, anytime I speak to Shar, I am in awe. And then just adding Reyna into the mix, I'm just like flabbergasted.
The amount of experience and like, like the wealth of knowledge and just what they created as individual, and then they got to work together too. Like Shar becoming such an icon with just performers everywhere. Reyna being one of the founders of Black Mass and getting into immersive theater and creating such different opportunities for people. It's just like, it's so cool to sit down with them, because I kind of see them as like figures that you put up on pedestals, but you just get to talk to them, and they're just like regular cool people who are like, yeah, we like scary things too.
Who just have really friggin' cool ideas and do cool stuff.
They just like actually do it, which is awesome. Yeah. And they've got some cool resources and have met some awesome people along the way to do that with.
Yeah.
So that was a really fun episode.
Super fun, and we hope you guys enjoyed it, because we had a blast.
A huge blast, and it looks like we're going to be working on some Shar Fest for March, so come check us out with her.
Yeah.
And
we'll keep you posted on when that might happen.
Yep. And I mean, I'm sure we'll have both Shar and Reyna back on in the future.
Absolutely.
I mean, now technically we've had Shar on both seasons.
Yeah.
So we'll just have to make it a thing. Like, she's on every single season now.
Gonna have to be there.
Oh, darn.
All right. Well, you can find us on Instagram and at Just Haunted House Things.
On TikTok.
Yeah.
At JHHT_podcast.
There
There we go. That's it.
And as per usual, you can also find us on the old Facebook if you're still on Facebook.
Shout out to the older millennials.
Whoop, whoop. The elder millennials.
Yeah. And my mom is on Facebook too, so to my mom.
Hi, Mom. But yeah, that's all from us for this week.
Yeah.
And
we'll see you guys soon.
see you soon. And this has been
Just Haunted House Things.